The problem that we're going to address right now is probably the biggest problem anyone makes starting out cooking briskets on the new smoker. A lot of times when people start out cooking briskets, they study it first and then they buy a piece of meat and start cooking, which is the ultimate thing. The experience of doing something new, trying it, and then having it turn out amazing. It's one of the best things ever. But if it's a fail, it's kind of the worst thing ever, because you spend a lot of money, put in a lot of effort, and you're failing. And I think I know the reason why. Come. You see, when you start out doing something new, you have to test it, you have to figure out how it works. But the amount of success depends on how good your starting point is and how well you've been informed on how to do it. And there are a lot of methods on how to cook brisket on the internet, and they're really helpful. I made a couple of them myself. Just think of the 4-2-10 method, where I take a brisket, trim it up, season it, then smoke it for 4 hours at a temperature of 120 degrees Celsius, and then another 2 hours at 140 degrees Celsius. It's going to give you a really good indication of what you should be doing when cooking a brisket for the first time. But there's a pitfall in that method. One that you might be falling for and that I want to prevent happening to you. You see, most of the time methods like that are focusing on cooking on time and temperature. The reason that people like me are giving you these methods are because, well, basically you're asking for it. You're asking for time, you're asking for temperature, and that's all you want to know. But with brisket, there's so much more than that. And the biggest failure most of the time when cooking brisket comes from cooking on time, because, well, cows are not just cows. You got big cows, you got small cows, you got breeds, you got feedings, you got all these factors that you don't know about when you're starting out. And even when I'm cooking my thousands brisket, I still don't know exactly what the cow's been fed or the exact age. And if I don't know how tender the meat's going to be, when it's going to be cooked, when it's going to be done, I can do a guess. So the first problem is time. But the second problem is what your brisket is going to look like if you cook on time. We all want that juicy brisket, beautiful smoke ring, and a delicious bark, right? And if you're cooking on something like this, the Bradley Raven smoker, or a pellet smoker, or even maybe a ceramic barbecue, but what have I told you that the problem is not the barbecue? The problem is the way you cook on that barbecue. You see, this barbecue has a specific way to cook a brisket on. And the same goes for your barbecue. So I'm going to show you what you need to do with your barbecue to get that perfect brisket. And as always, it starts with buying a good brisket. How do you recognize a good brisket? Well, it has a beautiful dark red flavor in the meat, it's got intermuscular fat, and it's got a little bit of fat sitting on top of it. I'm going to trim off the thickest part of fat, and for your backyard barbecue, you definitely want to keep a little layer of fat on your brisket. Then in my case, I'd like to use a binder for mustard. Just rub on a little bit. You can also use Worcester sauce or spray on a little bit of water, or even not apply a binder at all. Of course, I'm also going to need a seasoning, and I'll be using the PitmasterX Texas barbecue seasoning. It has the absolute perfect brisket flavor profile. And because of the thickness of the brisket, it can carry a lot of seasoning. So I just trimmed this brisket, and I was thinking, there is a difference in trimming a brisket depending on which barbecue you have. If you have a pellet smoker, always leave a little bit of fat cap on top of it. If you have an offset smoker, always leave a little bit of fat on top of it. And basically that goes for any barbecue you use, unless you're specifically targeting for competition where you need to have less fat to have a better smoke ring. But that's not real life. Real life and getting good brisket involve using the fat cap to protect the meat from rendering out. Well, not rendering out. You kind of need the beef tallow, you need that fat to make that brisket juicy. So leave a little bit of that fat cap on. Because right now we are going to take a look at the first big question and the first thing that might go wrong. Because if you have a brisket and you have that fat cap, do you put it with the fat cap down or the fat cap up? And why? Why does it matter? Let's take a look at this barbecue, for instance. This is the Raven Bradley smoker. It's a genius thing, and for your household smoking, it's absolutely perfect. It's compact, it has digital features, you can control it with an app, there's thermometers involved, everything's perfect for you to always win a barbecue. Now, let me show you why you need that fat cap and why it matters if you put it upside or downside up. Upside up, downside up, upside down. There's no upside or downside to a brisket. I'm just realizing this. The cow has well, not breast, but breast. It's a breast muscle. Let's not go into this. I just want to show you this example. Look at this. You see this? I can take this plate out, but look at this. Where is the heating element? Well, you can see a heating element on this side and on this side. Now I'm going to put this plate in, there we go, and that's basically a heat deflector. Now if you have a pellet smoker, that's just a pot with a burning fire in the center, and of course it has heat deflectors, but the heat comes from below. If you have a ceramic barbecue, the heat comes from below. If you have a kettle grill, well, if you put it on indirect heat, it's going to come from the side, and it might also come from the top if the air is swirling around in the kettle grill. And if you have an offset smoker, it's just going to go over the brisket. And that is what you need to think about. What does the airflow in my grill look like? So here I got a top vent, I got a bottom intake, I got heat coming from below. So where does the fat cap go? That's right. In this case, the fat cap is going down. And I don't mean radiation heat, I'm talking about the heat that dominates your barbecue. Could be radiation heat, could be convection heat. So I'm going to put it in the center rack so I can take a good look at it while it's cooking, and with the fat cap pointing down. Now all I need to do is close this door, and I'm going to max out the timer to 10 hours because I don't care about time. I just want to show you what you need to be looking for to cook the right brisket. Forget about time. It doesn't matter. I didn't even set it, right? But what I do care is about smoke. I put these hockey pucks in. You can see them right there, right? Check that. Hockey pucks. Hockey pucks of wood. I got my vents open all the way. It's feeding. It's feeding the hockey puck into the smoker section. And there's a coil there that heats up and ignites the hockey puck, creating smoke. So after 40 minutes of smoking, we have a light touch of smoke on the brisket, but nowhere near what we need to have. So we're gonna go up with the smoke. We just keep on going. So I'm just gonna add more smoke to the cooking session, and I'm just gonna keep on smoking the brisket till the color improves. And this is basically the key. You want that color to be really, really good. I've been smoking this brisket now for a total of 80 minutes. And this is where things are getting interesting, because take a look at that. The brown stuff on the brisket, that is the smoke that these smoke pucks generate. But since we already have the brown, this is the moment where I now stop smoking. Now, I can predict you, better yet, I'm going to use the chef temp thermometer to show you the core temperature is around 70 degrees. Look at that, it's 66, so it's not 70, but so you see my point here is, hold on, where are you going, buddy? Temperature is important, and I do want to measure it. But basically, I already know because my eyes tell me that we have this core temperature. A different barbecue would give you a totally different look. But this is something that you learn as you go along. You need to look at your brisket. You need to identify the light brown color or the mahogany red that you're looking for, and then stop smoking. The rest will happen during the cooking process. The brisket's been cooking for 5 hours now, and I really think you want to take a look at the development of the color. The color's really starting to develop. The mahogany red is shining through. We don't have too much of that brown color. It's become kind of like a caramelization color. And that is exactly what I need. And I even wanted to go as far as turning black. But that is going to take a lot of time. I'm almost at the 10-hour mark. Just about 30 minutes left to go, but I don't care, because we got to take a look at the bark. You can see the change in the crust. If we do a side-by-side comparison from 1.5 hours smoking to now, you'd think we've been smoking all this time, but really we haven't. We've just been cooking it, and it developed and it developed, and it already had the smoke flavor back then. And now it looks like a proper brisket. So let's get the brisket out. Ooh, yeah. Wow. If we take a look at the color of the brisket right now, that is what you want. I know you want it. I know I want it. And you see that I had to keep on smoking for 10 hours. So it's completely different to what I would do if I would be cooking on an offset smoker. Because on an offset, I would be just taking out the moisture and I would just be drying out the brisket and over smoking it. And on an insulated smoker like the Bradley Raven, there's almost no moisture loss, there's little airflow, so you're going to need a lot more time to build up that beautiful bark. And that is why I want you to cook with your eyes and not the temperature. And wait for the brisket on your table to stop cooking, and put on a little bit of beef tallow, wrap it up and let it rest for at least half an hour, but 2 hours would be way better. All right, time to unwrap this bad boy. But before I do, I like to point out that you have an option. So basically you can rest this for 2 hours, or you can put it in the Raven and just let it sit overnight. At 65 degrees Celsius, you can run it forever. It's basically like a sous vide system, and keep it nice and warm. I have a special video about that. I'll link it down below in the video description. Trust me, you'll love that option. But since I don't think you want to wait until part 2 of this video, we're just gonna open this up and cut into it. Let's get that paper out of the way. Look at that. Isn't that amazing? A little bit of beef tallow on the board. Oh, now that is what I call a juicy brisket. All right, let's slice into this and take a look. Look at that. There goes the bark. To me, that just looks like the most beautiful brisket. We got an amazing bark. We got lots and lots of tenderness. Let's just tear this apart. Loads of juiciness, tenderness. We got a nice bit of smoke sitting on top. We got that bark. It's extremely juicy and tender. That is everything you want out of a brisket. Whoa, the piece is falling apart on me. To me, this is just the most beautiful side of a tender brisket. It is everything that I'm looking for. And I think it's the ultimate proof that if you cook with your eyes, you're gonna get the best result. So whoever said looking is not cooking is terribly wrong when it comes down to briskets. Smoke level, that is step number 1. When you got it absolutely freaking right, you think this is the flavor profile that I need, and you can only build that up by experience. And once you got that right, you're gonna cook it until you got the bark set the way you want it to. Look to cook for the bark. And then you're cooking it to all the way done, 96, 98 degrees Celsius. Let it rest, and then, well, you can't go wrong with this brisket anymore. All right, guys, I'm just gonna give this a try. Hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, then you know what to do. Give us a big thumbs up. See you guys in the next video. Until then, eet smakelijk and keep on grilling. Oh yeah. Oh, that's good.